Hi, and welcome to The Secret Life of Parkinson's. I'm Jessica Krauser, and I don't have Brian Baker with me right now, but I do have Cheryl Kruger with us from C. Kruger's Finest Baked Goods. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Glad to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're able to join. I have so many questions for you. But real quick, before we get started, I do want to just let everybody know who you are. And
Okay.
I know you don't like to talk about yourself and boast about yourself, so I'm going to, and you can correct me where I'm wrong. But you're a entrepreneur, fantastic entrepreneur here in Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you.
You started Cheryl's Cookies and sold Cheryl's Cookies what year?
I
2005?
started in 81
Okay.
and sold it in 2005. It stayed on until through 2009.
Okay, 2009.
But as time marched on, I realized that I was not going to be happy swinging a golf club all the time and chasing a little white ball around the field. So I did some traveling and then and got the bug to get back into this business again.
So then you started C. Kruger's Finest Baked Goods.
I decided to do a higher end cookie, and so we are developing new cookies. Like the newest one we just did is an apple pie.
Oh, no way.
Apple pie a la mode cheesecake. A cookie, and then hot chocolate cookie.
Ooh.
Hot chocolate's really good.
Are you doing any pumpkin?
Yep, we're doing pumpkins, and we have the pumpkin cookie with the cinnamon icing is really good.
Mm-hmm.
They're all good, but I mean, and then we did a new one is coming out is cheesecake.
Oh, nice.
Caramel cheesecake and cinnamon roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
That sounds like that would be good.
they're all really good. They're
Yeah.
really excellent. We got a whole fall assortment.
Okay, nice. But so you started all of this 5 years ago, the C. Kruger?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So you were starting a business at a time that wasn't probably easy for you, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about COVID, I'm talking about Parkinson's.
Oh yeah.
So you were diagnosed, well, tell us about what happened and how did you find out and when were you starting?
Well, and my grandmother had a tremor in her right hand, and then she did it was a magnificent crocheter and knitter and so on. And then my her oldest daughter, my aunt, I noticed that they were hitting around 60ish, they started to develop these tremors in her hand. And I noticed my Aunt Alice's hands she had the same tremor my grandmother had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that they say Parkinson's isn't necessarily
Genetic, yeah.
but I would argue that there's a strong possibility because I've heard other people say the same thing. Each generation seems to pass it on. So so my grandmother said we didn't know Parkinson's really wasn't well known back then, and so we call it essential tremors. So,
Okay.
so I thought I had. Now they both have bones that ache times, and but they thought it was arthritis.
Oh,
So they didn't treat it they didn't have any
With
treatment for Parkinson's back then. Or I'm sure they had something.
so they
but-
probably had more symptoms than just tremors, and
But it masks itself as arthritis.
Arthritis.
Yeah.
So you started with an essential tremor, and then what
I noticed-
led you to go
Yeah.
further?
Thank you. I would both cookie companies. I write personal letters to the customers,
Okay.
thanking them for their business. Not all customers, but anybody that
Yeah.
calls up or wants to talk about it. And I noticed that my handwriting is getting worse, and I had really nice penmanship. I thought, how is this happening? And then I noticed I started falling more. I'm pretty coordinated, and I kept falling and tripping. I wasn't working right now.
That's the thing. Would you trip on your own feet, or trip over something, or just lose balance?
All of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. My balance now is not as good as it was, and that's unfortunate because you really need balance if you're going to walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my situation is a little more complicated because I had hip replacement done 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
And so when I walk, my left hip flares way out, and it's and right now we're doing it through exercise, trying to see if we can't get it to be more functional,
more loose,
and
yeah.
more because it's got to contribute to the movement, and right now it's a movement disorder.
So how has it when you were first finding out all these other symptoms of like your falls, like what did you do?
I went to 9 different doctors over the course of a year.
Really, like all neurologists or all different kinds of doctors?
No, mostly neurologists.
Okay.
I went to in Pittsburgh, did that in Cleveland, and in Columbus.
What did they all say?
Well, that's the problem with Parkinson's. It comes in so many shapes and forms. And some are varying degrees of Parkinson's. And now my aunt and my grandmother seem to have the same type of Parkinson's. And it seems like I'm kind of following in their footsteps. So, but different people had different points of view on how to treat it, because it's not just treating Parkinson's, but you've got to treat the hip to go with it.
Oh yeah.
Some people said it's a Trans-Bellenberger walk, which is it's a walk where the person's hips really exaggerate. It's when they walk.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They're usually pretty hunched over and so on. So they have that to deal with, as well as the Parkinson's walk. But so I was in Boston, and they looked at it as well. So between Boston, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Cleveland. So, and talked to other doctors, and everybody just had different points of view. But the advice I got, good advice, was that one doctor said, if you're going to do Parkinson's, you want to do it in a town or a city where you have most of your friends and family, if that's possible. He said because it requires a village.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm fortunate. I've got a lot of friends and family in Columbus, so we stayed there, and it's been and it was great advice, because there are times when you really need the help. And it takes me for like to button a button to take 20 minutes to button a shirt, or 25 minutes to button a shirt. And I was like, I'm not gonna let this shirt beat me. but it is frustrating.
But do you, like, when you think about all the process that you went through of finding out about your diagnosis, and then obviously having the hip on top of that issue, did you ever consider taking a step back from work just to alleviate that stress? Because I know, at least for me, like, stress was a trigger for my symptoms. Do you find that same thing to be true?
Not so much stress as much as it's kind of time of day. My tremors are pretty much gone, which is good. But I've got
because of medication.
Medication, yes. But my right leg, from my knee to my ankle, and the right side is like the same as your calf, except on the right hand side of that leg, and it's neuropathy setting in. So I've got to make sure that I've got an appointment with the doctor. As a matter of fact, in about a month from now, to see what they can do about that, because I can't lose feeling in that foot, or I wouldn't be able to drive or walk, or I mean, I'd be wheelchair bound. Yeah, and I'm just determined not to do that.
Right.
There's a fight you got to fight, and some days are really good, some days are not so good, and I don't think I don't see the stress related yet showing up, but it manifests itself in other ways for me too.
Like what?
Well, on medicine I'm on right now, I am getting hallucinogens.
Oh yeah.
And so and it seems like they're playful. It's like a lady in a kitchen who's cooking all the time.
I was going to say, so I've never, so this is probably not disease related, but the medication related hallucinations. Do you know that it's fake, or do you think it's real? Like,
well, it depends. Some are, you can tell they're fake. But it is so scary because it looks so real. Yeah. It's like but a lot of them will have hoodies on with their face mask, or they don't want to be seen. But they appear and disappear, without movement. Without driving a car out or anything. They just kind of walk in through your door and walk through back out, and it's all that's all a dream. And so
is it it's scary? Like, I mean, that would.
Yeah, well, it's scary when my parents are deceased. And when they came back, I saw an image of that. That was hard, because I gave the eulogy at both their services. It's like, no, my parents are not here. My parents are, deceased. And but then you also touch the person, and your hand goes right through their arm. So it's like so it's clearly a spiritual thing.
Wow.
But it is, it's. I realize that my mind is so underutilized. A human being mind, they said we use maybe 5% of our brain, and it is amazing how the brain is just functions, and how some people can see these images and other people can't. I think 80% of them don't see it, but 20% do. And I'm in the lucky 20%. But as far as the body goes, you just the best thing you can do is exercise and stretch every day, because Parkinson's wants to kind of close the door, make it kind of curl your body up.
Yeah.
And you got to think, exercise your arms and spread them all out so that you can get the full effect of it. And big voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have like such a positive attitude, it seems, and not everybody living with Parkinson's has that same feeling. And just seeing you as like you started multiple businesses, you're still, working at your business, and you're helping me, with the 5K for
Sure.
JK now, like you're still supporting nonprofits. What's a good message that you would tell somebody who's either newly diagnosed that feels like their world is over,
Okay.
or somebody who's still just, sitting around because they think I can't do anything? What would you say to them?
Well, my grandmother had fell and broken her hip when she was 85, 86. And the nurses said she'll never walk again. And my grandmother said, yes, she will. And good farmer stock. She was right. She was walking within 6 months after she got out of the hospital.
Wow.
And so the nurses said to her, why wasn't she depressed? How could she get, her feeling so good and good enough to leave the hospital? And my grandmother just said, is there any other way to be? She said, there's just no other way to be. Why God didn't put us on earth here just to be crabby all the time or owly. What are we contributing? What are we helping give back? So
I love that.
So when she, when I was little, I'd sell mud pies on the side of the road, and I'd bake them. My mom's muffin can tins. And I'd put mud in some of the cupcakes, and the other ones I put stones in, and I charge a penny for the mud pie, the small one, and then with the stones I charge 2 cents. And people would stop by and pay it and take their mud bar home or mud cookie or mud cupcake home. And my mom came out one day and she said, I can't believe people stop by and buying that. And she said, that's never going to sell. And I said, well, I never gave it a thought that it wouldn't. And so you have to put on, when they do your glasses, they put these lenses, 1 or 2, and you get to pick. Do you see it through your eyes? Do you see half full or half empty?
Oh.
And I'm fortunate enough. It's hard to be positive all the time.
Yeah. That's even one of my biggest things, like with the nonprofit, and why I was so open with my kids with my diagnosis, because I knew there was good things that I wanted to do, but more so I wanted them to see how everybody's going to face some sort of issue or roadblock in their life, but it's how you overcome it shows the type of resilience that anybody can have. It's just like everyone's capable. You have to take those first steps forward. So that's what I wanted to show my kids, and thankfully they're picking up on that, and now even with their friends, like they see, they're asking questions, and
that's great.
Not hiding behind it, but pushing through. So
there's a reason why I got this. I don't know what the reason is, but someday I'll find out.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm just gonna play the cards you're dealt with. And be glad when I get up in the morning and put my feet on the ground, it's like, okay, I'm happy. I'm here another day.
Still here.
I told my Aunt Alice and I were close, and we talked about treating each day like a gift. And you get up in the morning, open your gift up and see what lies ahead. And so, what's the gift for the day? And be grace or forgiveness or whatever you want, whatever it is. See the person you may have not helped. And one of the things I'm grateful for is as I see people watching me walk, because I have a walker. The number of people getting doors for me now, and it's really good. There's quite a few people that are really very special out there.
Yeah.
Most people are, but there are a few that are a little cranky. But I'm fortunate enough that the neighborhood I live in, there people are very kind and
That's
very
good.
very and it really does help to have people close by, because things like someone get your button tied or getting your buttons or tying your shoes, just basic things, you just lose the mobility.
Do you wish you would have talked about or opened up about Parkinson's sooner?
Yes and no. I think, yeah, if I would have opened up sooner, I don't think I would be as objective about it. I can talk now a little bit more with regard to how I felt, and that's okay. So some days be good and some days not be good,
Yeah.
because it's fact. It's a roller. It's really a roller coaster, because it's not a gradual improvement, because you'll have ups and downs, and I'm more equipped to answer those, to address those issues, and say, well, this is how I handle it,
Yeah.
and it would seem to work out okay.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. In our last 30 seconds, I'll leave you with this. Everybody can create their own journey. It's having a positive attitude and knowing that if you just get up in the morning, put your feet on the floor, and know that you can open up this day is a great gift to anybody. So take care, and we'll see you next time.